Thinking of exiting your business or taking on a private equity partner to help you grow faster? BizNexus has you covered. Tap into our network of thousands of best-fit investors, acquirers, and proven M&A advisors, and we'll help you begin the relationship confidentially on your terms, your timeline. Learn more at biznexus.com.
Disclaimer from the always present legal team. Podcast conversations don't necessarily reflect the views of BizNexus Incorporated. Everything you hear is informational news and updates from around the industry. We're not recommending any investments. We're not offering any investment advice. Be sure to do your own homework.
All right, so we're diving into some pretty interesting stuff today. Mergers and acquisitions, M&A.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
It is. And, we're going to be looking at this stuff, especially drawing from Sahil Patel. And he basically lays out, M&A, it's companies coming together or one buying the other. And you might think, oh, this is just, huge corporations. But it can really impact businesses in all sizes.
Oh, absolutely.
Even, what Sahil Patel calls that lower middle market. So in this deep dive, we're going to try to really understand what M&A is all about, why companies even bother with it, and what makes some deals work, what makes some fail, especially in that lower middle market context.
Yeah, and I think as Sahil Patel really nicely lays out the fundamentals here, even if you're not a business tycoon, right?
Right.
Just understanding how this works can be really, really insightful. So we'll be looking at the core definitions, why companies do it, and some real world examples. So hopefully there'll be some good takeaways for, even those smaller transactions, right?
Right. Definitely. So I guess let's start with the basics, right? What is M&A?
Yeah.
And Sahil Patel puts it pretty simply, a merger, right?
Yeah.
Is when two companies become one.
Right.
Disney and Pixar, became this powerhouse, we know today.
Total powerhouse, yeah.
Right. Whereas acquisition, that's when one company buys another one.
Takes control.
Yeah.
Facebook buying Instagram.
Exactly.
Right.
And that distinction, I think, that Sahil Patel points out is important even for smaller businesses, right?
Yeah.
In the lower middle market, a merger might be, two businesses, say a local bakery and a coffee supplier. Right.
I see.
They come together. Maybe they offer combined services and they grow in a way that they couldn't have alone.
Right.
Acquisition, on a smaller level could be a quicker way to get a bigger customer base. Or maybe get a specific skill set that you just, you need.
Makes sense. So I guess then, the big question is, why?
Right.
Why go through all this?
Yeah.
What's the point of all this M&A stuff?
Right.
Well, Sahil Patel points out a few reasons. One big one, and this makes a lot of sense, is to cut down on competition.
Oh, yeah.
Classic example he uses is Facebook and WhatsApp.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly a competitor just becomes part of you.
And that just strengthens you so much more. Really.
Right.
Yeah.
But another, big reason, and this is something Sahil Patel highlights too, is to get your hands on new tech or talent.
Absolutely.
So, look at Microsoft buying LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the social network. They were going for all that professional data and the people who know how to use it.
The expertise. Yeah. And you can totally see that on a smaller scale too.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a company buys a competitor who's got, this amazing technology they couldn't make themselves.
Wow.
Or maybe a team with super specialized skills. That makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, there's the whole thing about saving money.
Oh, yeah.
And, trying to grow faster.
Right, trying to accelerate growth.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a huge one.
And, Sahil Patel gives that example of, Amazon buying Whole Foods.
Yeah.
And suddenly Amazon's got, physical stores.
And all these new customers, yeah.
Totally.
And that's something you see even on a lower middle market level, right?
Yeah.
Think of a construction company buying another one.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've consolidated. They've got a bigger share of the market. And they've probably cut down on some costs too.
So it's really interesting to see how this, these things that you see these big companies doing actually apply to, all these businesses.
It's all about strategy.
Yeah.
Whether you're a massive corporation or a local business, it's about those smart moves.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, Sahil Patel, he gives some like really cool success stories, right, about M&A.
Like textbook examples, you know.
Right. So like Disney buying Marvel, $4 billion investment, and it just turned into this like $25 billion plus franchise.
Yeah, blew it out of the water.
Totally, totally. Or, you know, Google picking up Android for like relatively little.
Yeah.
And then bam, smartphones just like changed.
Revolutionized, yeah.
Right. And then, you know, you got Apple buying Beats, and now they're this music and tech, you know, giant.
Total powerhouse.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting there, like in those success stories that Sahil Patel talks about, it's not just about like making more money today, right? It's about getting ahead in the future.
Yeah.
You know, it's about snagging those technologies that are going to be huge, or that market leadership. It's about that vision, that strategic vision.
It's about, the long game, right?
Totally.
But of course, not every M&A is like a fairy tale.
Oh, definitely not. Some real cautionary tales out there.
Yeah. I mean, Sahil Patel, he brings up some pretty notable failures, you know, like AOL and Time Warner. Huge deal.
Huge.
And it just fell apart because they couldn't like make their cultures work together.
Yeah, culture clash. Classic example.
Right. And then eBay, they bought Skype for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then had to sell it at a loss. Right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, you've got Daimler and Chrysler.
Yeah.
Different ways of working, just couldn't like mesh.
Yeah, they couldn't make it work. And I think those failures, and it's great that Sahil Patel highlights these, those teach us so much.
They really do.
It shows it's not just about the numbers, you know,
Right.
the people, how well they fit together, the cultures, having a clear plan. That's all super important.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, how does this actually like work? How does an M&A happen?
Okay, so Sahil Patel breaks it down into key stages, right?
Okay.
So first you got to find the right company.
Okay.
That's step one. Then you got to figure out the price. And that's a whole negotiation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Back and forth. After that, due diligence. That's where you like really dig deep. Look for any hidden risks.
Really do your homework.
Exactly. And then the last part, the big one, integration.
Okay.
Actually making it all work together. And Sahil Patel is really clear on this. That's the toughest part.
The toughest part. Yeah.
He even says buying is easy. Making it work is the real challenge.
Yeah.
And that's got to resonate, especially, you know, in that lower middle market, right?
Right. Right.
Even with smaller teams, blending everything together, it can be really tricky.
Absolutely. Especially if those cultures are, you know, really different or they've got different ways of doing things.
For sure.
So just to like quickly recap, right? We looked at Sahil Patel's insights on M&A. It's basically companies joining forces or one buying the other to, you know, maybe cut down on competition or get new skills or tech. And we saw that like having a good strategy is key to making it work, but ignoring that cultural fit or how you're going to bring everything together.
A recipe for disaster.
Yeah. And the process itself, right? Finding the company, setting the price, doing your due diligence, and then that, you know, big integration.
A make or break moment.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, it's really interesting to think about, you know, all this in terms of that lower middle market, right?
For sure. And I think, you know, building on what Sahil Patel was talking about,
Yeah.
it makes me wonder, like, what are some of the specific challenges you'd hit in the lower middle market if you were trying to merge or buy another company?
Yeah.
And, you know, we talked about all those big, you know, headline grabbing failures.
Right.
Do those hold any lessons?
Yeah. Like, what can we learn from them?
Exactly. Like, can we use that knowledge to, like, help navigate those smaller but still super important deals?
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about.
Acquiring a business? BizNexus simplifies it. Access thousands of updated opportunities in our DIY marketplace or supercharge team sourcing with OmniSource, your all-in-one platform for on-market, off-market, and coming-soon deals. Scale smarter today. Learn more or book a demo at www.biznexus.com.